بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to another episode of Stranger's Perspective. And in the last episode, we talked about judging without judging. And this episode is like part 2 or like a continuation of the last episode. Before we get started again, just the normal disclaimer we usually give. We are not like shuyukhs or scholars or entirely. So we are just here to share our experiences, the little knowledge that we know, just to, maybe you can learn one or two things from them and implement them in your own lives as well. And another thing is like, we are not perfect, right? So it's not like we are perfect. We also learn from each other through this discussion. And it has been really wonderful, like all the episodes we've had earlier. And I believe every single one of us here has also learned one or two new things. And alhamdulillah. So let's just continue from where we stopped. And once again, I'm Ibrahim, and I have here with me Abdullah and Rokhaya. And we start by talking about, or we just continue by talking about the solutions to judging and how we can deal with judging. So I can remember part of the concluding statements in the last episode was that you should observe more, you should try to observe more and try to do a lot of verification before you actually judge someone. So you can try to approach someone, maybe privately, if you think someone is doing something, and before you actually judge the person, just try and find out more about the situation of things, and then maybe you can judge afterwards. And I think another thing that we also mentioned in the last episodes that was very important is like, you can't do without judging, right? I think judging is like part of us. Like, it's a natural thing. So all we can basically do is manage the judging process and try to be better and avoid misjudging people. So Abdullah, is there like one or two things you want to share? Maybe some other experiences you've had that you want to share that you feel we can benefit from, and our listeners can also benefit from it.
Yeah, I think from the last episode, if you remember very well, we are going to talk about, we've talked extensively about why we shouldn't judge, like unnecessarily.
Yes.
We're going to discuss how people exploit that notion of we shouldn't judge extensively, and they extend it to don't judge me at all. So like, actually, you are committing open sin, and I'm trying to call your attention, but you are giving me the vibe of don't judge me, you're not perfect to, you have this sin to do, or stuff like that. I don't know if you want me to go into that first before we jump into the solution.
Yes, I think we can go into that. Then we cannot consider a more broad solution, right? Or is it a more broad or a broader solution? Whichever way. But you get
one of those things. Yeah, when I was thinking about it this morning, one of those things that came to my mind, like there is this rapid spread in fahsha, like in how do you translate that these days? In like things that are not halal, in short, things that are haram, like obviously haram. So for example, you can think of tabarruj, like which is done by both men and women. So mostly women as the tool, right? And men and women as the propagator. So for example, you would see a lot of brothers these days post stuff like happy birthday for their friend. And they might call themselves someone that is practicing sunnah. They might be dressing there's really no sunnatic way, but they might not be dressing in a way that is against sunnah, right? But they end up posting someone that is like half-clad, half-unclad on their status with happy birthday. They don't support it, right? But they are posting it. And this kind of people, when you they are just like, okay, this thing that you are doing, you're assisting this person in bad deed, right? Like Allah says, assist yourself. What I want to do with taqwa. and in fear of Allah, and not the other way. So what you are doing, you are essentially, no matter how close this person is to you, you are accumulating sins by posting this person in this kind of manner on your own status. Because people get to see it, you cause fitna in the heart of many people. So from there, you are a source of people becoming sinful, right? So in a way, you have some power of it. So, right. So when you tell this kind of, brothers or sisters, like, this thing is not good, like, so how, like, can you like take it down or something? The first thing they tell you is like, don't judge her. Don't judge her. Like, I'm not judging her. Like, she's half clad, half clad. What else is there to say? Like she's not. It's not like she's on hijab, and I'm not saying that I can't even see her face. Why you posting that? Like, this person is already half clad, half clad, and I'm saying this is, and you're saying don't judge her, right? So this is something that people are exploiting these days. It's plenty on Twitter too. When you see someone correcting, like, an opinion can become public about Islam, and this thing is clear haram or clear bid'ah or something, and someone comes and trying to call people's attention that this is not Islam and stuff. The first thing that people say is, assistant God. That's the first thing that people say. So in a way, like, it's like they're trying to mock it, like, thank you. So this people have like exploited this so much. At times they use it to play, and subhanAllah, this is something that we should like be very scared of. Right? To look at, anytime I read that, it's always scary. Like, what about that? بهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون. Allah says, وَقِيلَ الْيَوْمَ نَنْسَاكُمْ كَمَا نَسِيتُمْ لِقَاءَ يَوْمِكُمْ هَذَا. So the point I want to dive out is, on that day, Allah will say, today, like, you're going to be lost in punishment. We will forget you in this punishment, just as you are forgotten. So ذَلِكُمْ بِأَنَّكُمْ مُتَّخَذْتُمْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا. This is because the signs of Allah, the ayatullah, like Quran and all of those corrections, they used to take it as something of play. Right. So just as people say Allah's PA, God assistance, and all of those things, when someone is actually trying to call your attention to something that is wrong. So yeah, this is a major issue that people should not judge. It doesn't mean you should not place yourself, you should not be doing, a lot of sort of bad things and all of these things, because people will not judge you. And if someone tries to correct you, even patiently and all of those things, be like, one day, they've arrived, how far. So this is a terrible issue that it's becoming something that is very popular nowadays, particularly on Twitter. If we are used to that, yeah. So that's like what I think about it.
Okay, inshallah, jazakumullah khair for sharing that. I've actually not heard the Allah's PA thing. I think I'm not really a Twitter. I'm not really a Twitter person.
It's something that is actually popular since last. I think the first time I noticed it personally was around that protest period last year. Protest. There were a lot of controversies that I don't want to get into. But if anybody brings something that has to do with, Islam quotes or all of that, whether it's about protest or not about protest or something else, right? The first thing that people say is, "Oh, Allah's PA, God's assistance." It's that even if the person is wrong, this is a very unthoughtful quote.
Yeah.
Right. You are bringing Allah down to the extent of him having a PA. This is exactly what the Nasaras do. Right. They say Allah as a son. These are the issues, right?
Yeah. Even though it's a joke, even though it's sometimes a joke, it's improper, right?
Exactly.
It's very, very improper, like very, very improper. Maybe Islamically improper. And anyone who is a Muslim shouldn't be doing things like that.
No, I mean, even if you are not a Muslim, one of the fundamental moral that I think everybody should, inculcate is that you should not abuse others' religion, right? You should not, anything that will hurt someone else, right? You should not say it, right? Even if you are going to say it, it should be in a very good manner. For example, you go into a community of Hindu people that are worshiping cow, for instance.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to correct that, they should stop worshiping cow. Not like you now go and buy cow, take into their midst and start slaughtering.
Cutting it.
Cow in front. That's not what you do, right?
No.
You're not telling them, you people are stupid though. Cow that I just finished eating. Is what you guys are worshiping. That's improper. Yeah. Not that you're just cutting them, you cause problem, it might lead to fight, it might lead to war. And not just that, they'll not even listen to you. The end goal of everyone is to call people that are on the wrong path to the right path, not to molest them, to mock them, or all of those things. You get my point? So even if you are not a Muslim, even if you think what Islam is saying is wrong, or what you think, or you think what another person of another religion saying is wrong, it's not like you should now make jest of that, in an improper way. If you want to correct people, you do it in a proper way and in an empathetic way.
No. Oh, all right. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe does Require also want to share something around that? The don't judge me problem.
Well, on fallacy of don't judge me. Of course, yes, I really subscribe to everything that Abdullah has just said. And I feel like sometimes there's been experiences with the way people actually interfere in matters online. Okay, because I could remember there was a time that this rape issue was kind of very rampant. And sometimes even it's not enough that you just have knowledge. You also have to have adab about to maybe correct people or how to submit your opinions about stuff. So sometimes a lot of we Muslim brothers or sisters that we feel that we are knowledgeable, sometimes when we want to table our matters, we come from a point of, I don't want to say arrogance, or maybe point of I'm better than you. So they just table the whole thing anyhow without empathy sometimes. So that way it makes people even adverse to whatever you want to say. Like they just feel like this person is just coming from something that's like the person cannot understand. Even if the person understands you, but just because of the way the person went about the whole thing, you kind of tend to think they don't understand. Because a brother actually made a comment, or let me say some brothers actually made comments about it's because of the way the lady is dressing and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that actually brought a comeback from sisters that even when they dress well, and sometimes Muslim sisters, sometimes that probably they have had issues like that, even from close relatives. So it came about a comeback, and the whole thing just, when they say a damn bust. So I feel like if we are more empathetic naturally, people will tend to listen to you more because they feel like you're coming from a point of compassion, not a point of you judging them. Right. So, but at the same time, there are people that even no matter how good you try to do it, they still find issues just because they don't just want to listen, like they don't have any business with. So I myself, sometimes what I do, which I know that is not always the best, is that I would first try to get close to you and then try to see if you're the kind of person that would you even listen to what I have to say, or if you're the type that, okay, no matter what I even say, it's a lost cause, because there are actually people like that. If we are going to be realistic, fine, the best thing a person can do is just say your own and let it go. Fine, which we do sometimes. But sometimes I just kind of keep quiet, that this one, she cannot listen. I might have judged the person, but it is with information that I know is very bad. Because sometimes I might send someone to them virtually to talk to them and they don't listen, or I see their reaction. And sometimes I do it in a way that they don't know I'm the one doing it, and there's still no points to it. So if I say that, okay, this person is kind of person that if I say it personally, straight up, they would listen just because of, okay, maybe she has a point, or maybe this and that. But if I say this person that no matter what you even say, there's no point, so I just keep quiet. So I feel like it's not all the time that we actually have to, how will I say it now? It's not all the time we actually have to interfere in some things just because we have knowledge about it. Because the truth is, some people would not listen. That's just the way it is. Because the thing is, fine, Allah has made it easy for some of us to not be impressed by a lot of evil around us. But for some people, it's only Allah's rahmah that can bring them back. The best you can do is just try, okay, for instance, now someone looks at my status every day, and I make a lot of admonition on my status, and the person does not change. So what makes you feel, if I go and talk to the person personally, there's going to be a change? Do you understand now? So, yeah, just do your own best. And it's not all the time you always have to be confronting just because you have knowledge of something. So sometimes just do your own best. Take it as, even sometimes Umar will say that just take the lesser of evils, right? And do that which is easy, and do not be hard on the people. It's even better that you're hard on yourself than to be hard on people. whatever anybody does, they might be doing something in one corner that even Allah is even more pleased with them than Allah is with you. So just it's really, really easy. May Allah aid us.
What Rukaya was talking about. So from my own perspective, I might be wrong, but I don't think interfering, it's that might not necessarily be the issue, right? So what I think is when you interfere and how you interfere. So like the time and the manner like matters a lot. So generally, I don't think it's okay to see an evil and just don't do anything about it. Right. So even if you stop it in your mind, right, just like the hadith I said, like the least you can do is to dislike it in your mind. But that's when you don't have power to do all of those things. So right, your hand, your mouth, right, then your heart. So I think the manner and the time that you do it is like someone that is going to school. You want to teach, let's say, an 8-year-old kid, then you start with a university syllabus. So you start with the differential equation, partial differential equation, whatever. Okay. So the first thing is you will never learn, right? You would never understand, most likely. Allah, so, but you would never understand, most likely, and you would get tired. I'm like guys teaching me this for. So probably what do at the end of the day. So just as if you go and correct someone that doesn't have like a very solid understanding of Islam, right? Then you go and start from the top and try to correct him. You have to build the foundation. So an example of what I'm trying to say is you come across a Muslim, he doesn't pray, he probably doesn't fast, right? Even if he has money, maybe he will not go for Hajj, you probably go and enjoy his life or whatever. So then the first thing you tell him about is bad. Brother, why is your trouser flowing on the ground? that would never make sense to him, right? So the time doesn't make sense. Now let's make it worse. The time you go and correct him, maybe you post a picture on Twitter. This person doesn't even pray, talk less of fast. Now he posted a picture on Twitter. Now he's on that picture that you now put and say, brother, his bad is how. Someone that doesn't pray. Now look at the time is bad. Now the manner is also bad. So I think the time and manner that we correct. There is an hadith of the Prophet. I can't remember the exact wording of the hadith, but it's about putting people in their place. If I want to correct you, the way I will correct you will be different. So if I see, because like not like if I know like the level that we are in, as much as little as it is, I still know the level that we are in. So if you see me doing something bad, you can come straight at me and say, Abdullah, this is bad, right? But if you look at someone that is better than me, the way you correct him too is different. So even posting stuff on status, that's one thing that I notice a lot of us don't realize. Most of the admonition that we post on status is not might have good intention, but bad effects. People that are looking at your status are group of different category of people. So if you are posting the same admonition at the same kind of admonition to all sorts of people, somehow I don't know if there is a solution to that, but I just think that give the right people the right admonition. So if this person doesn't understand Salah, don't start from him to go and do da'wah, for example. He doesn't even pray. Don't start from Isbal. Probably don't start from bed and all of those things. Start from the foundation. Let him understand is Allah's right on him and his right. You get all of those things. You get, so if you come across someone on Twitter, you don't even know their status in Islam, you don't know how much of ibadah they do, you don't even know how much of belief they have, and the first thing you notice is whether you're not supposed to do this thing or that thing. So the time and like many people do correction in public. I think high percentage of time correction in public. Higher percentage of time. I mean, there are like sometimes where you need to do correction in public, right? Particularly if, let's say, you are doing something in public and it's going to affect a lot of people. So if you need to stop it in that public, right, so that it will not affect a lot of people, that's fine, right?
But even that needs to be done with care.
Exactly.
That needs to be done with extreme care. I can give an instance, right? Okay. So, like, I think maybe early this year or late last year, the governor of Kaduna State, that's Governor El-Rufai, one of his daughters got married. And then there was this whole blabberoo on Twitter about the clothes that she wore, that this one, that one, everybody was saying their own. I was just like, come on, like, this is not proper. Like, they were trying to make a correction. Do you know what? At the end of the day, okay, they were quite right about the correction, but what people thought was the case was not entirely the case. Even though maybe the clothes what she wore was a little bit, maybe not inappropriate, maybe not a little bit, maybe the clothes she wore was inappropriate. But what people actually thought she wore was not exactly what she wore, because that was like in picture, right? So she now came back. I think she came back to apologize or something. And then she explained. The explanation showed that, okay, maybe people might have over thought what she did, right? But nevertheless, what she wore was still inappropriate.
Okay.
But it's possible people overtook I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. So it seemed like her skin was showing from under the clothes she was wearing, right? So what she came back to say was she was wearing something else under the clothes, which was almost the color of her skin, from what I understood by what she wrote. So, it's almost like saying I covered my skin, right? And people actually thought the old clothes was maybe transparent or something. You get it, right?
Yeah, I get
And then
the point.
people, even though the clothes was still sort of inappropriate, right? But the way people took it, and then the way a lot of people were just saying, opening their mouths, it's inappropriate. And I
So,
don't think
Ibrahim,
the points would have been
I
made.
think the problem there, right? I mean, it's like another discussion, but I just want to point it out. The problem there is people take the wrong people as model,
Yeah.
right?
That's another thing.
People look at El-Rufai people and be like, these people are supposed to be serious Muslims. Right? I'm not saying he's not. You get my point. They look at
Yeah.
his family and people are like, okay, he's not supposed to do this. Like, I mean, if you look around you, a lot of people are doing nikah, marriage, they are Muslims and they are not dressing well.
Yeah.
Why are you not shouting about that on Twitter?
No.
The president is a Muslim. So people take everything that he does and just mount it on Muslim.
Hmm.
Do you get why a lot of people are trying to correct Rufai? Is because there are a lot of people on Twitter that are saying, you see them, their Islam, their Sharia is for the poor. It's not for the rich. The rich are exempted. No, when people are trying to say that, the Muslims on Twitter, instead of just observing the situation, and after his Twitter, like 24 hours, it dies and something else trends. Like, instead of just observing and all of those things, they try to find a way to, make sure we reject this thing. So just so more of those things balance. I mean, that's another discussion, but I get your point.
So everybody will now start opening mouth.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Even people,
day,
even
these
people that don't
wrong,
even
that
pray,
people are wrong too.
even people that don't pray too, they can't open their mouth and say it is wrong.
That's the thing. If you look at Twitter, at the end of the day, higher percentage of people just want to acquire more followers. Even people that are pushing motivation, people that are putting that correction. At the end of the day, higher percentage of people just want to acquire more followers. So we pay attention to those people's, popular values. You'll be like, how the best. Like most of those times during NSAS, during Buhari, whatever, during El-Rufai, I'll just look at Twitter and I'll just be telling Taiwo that's not in this podcast that is supposed to be here. I'm telling Taiwo that we will check this thing back tomorrow. Something else is already trending tomorrow. That's the funniest thing. Everybody has forgotten. You get the point. So at times you just want to observe, like you said at the beginning of the podcast. At times you just want to observe and just let things, go the way it's supposed to go. So, but back to what you asked about, the don't change. You mentioned Omar of the land. I think there was an hadith of Omar that said, sorry, not hadith. There was a saying of Omar that says something like the wahy, like the revelation from God has stopped now. So the only thing we have left is to judge people based on what's appearance, right? And give their mind to Allah. So if I see you doing something that is obviously apparent and you're my brother, it's my responsibility to call your attention. So you shouldn't look at me and be like, but you are doing this thing too. I mean, I'm doing that thing too. Someone else is probably correcting me. I'm working on it. But just because I'm wrong, I'm trying to fix that thing, doesn't mean I should not call your attention to. So far I'm doing it the right way, not like I'm doing it as if I'm pure too or I'm pious or, I'm safe from it. So far I'm doing it in the right manner. Oh, brother, we shouldn't be doing this, even though I'm probably in that situation as you. But that doesn't mean I should let it slide. So particularly most of the most prevalent things these days, like, fraud, that is very common, that is becoming the norm of the day, like tabaruj, I don't know exact translation for that. So for women, like dressing up naked and all of those things. So these things are obvious. Even non-Muslims know these things are not allowed in Islam. You get my point? So where am I judging you? Like, non-Muslims know these things are not allowed in Islam. I'm not judging you at all. So it's just like, it's obvious. I'm calling your attention to it. So far, I do it the right way. So, but you go to Twitter at times, they would even screenshot the correction that a brother is trying to do. So even though some brother can go to the extreme, like DM sister and all of those, I don't know. So, but they will get to the point that they will do the screenshot and start banting on the brother and all of this. All
Discussion.
So I think as a person, irrespective of how someone tries to correct you, so far as correcting something in you, and it's not like disgracing you in public. If it's in private and it's disgracing you, fine, no problem, disgrace me. So far as in private. If you're disgracing me in public, that might be an issue. But if someone is trying to correct you, irrespective of the approach, so far as calling your attention, I mean, that's from the perspective of the person being corrected. You get my point? I'm not saying anybody should go and do it in an improper way. But if you are being corrected, irrespective of the approach, so far you're not being disgraced in public, I don't think you should take it. You should take it up on the person that is correcting you. Try and take the correction. After you've now been able to get over that, you can now go back to the person too and correct him. That brother, thank you for what you did the other time. So even though if you want to do it for somebody else, probably do it like this or like that. You correct me, I correct you. That's why we are Muslims. That's why we are humans. And so that's what I think about the don't judge me thing.
Mashallah. I think I'll just add one or two things. So the first thing I want to add is like some few days back, a brother was having a discussion with another brother, and I was just hearing part of the discussion. It was more or less like an open discussion. It's not like I was eavesdropping or something. So he was saying there's a significant difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? So having knowledge is one thing, and that's like one thing. Anybody can have knowledge, but that wisdom of how to apply the knowledge is another thing. So wisdom can come in multiple ways, right? Wisdom can come based on just Allah giving somebody the wisdom to be able to deal with situations, to be able to utilize the knowledge that one has. And then wisdom can also come in, maybe Allah has allowed someone to like have experience dealing with a lot of issues, right? So the person is wise in that area. I don't know if you understand, like there are multiple ways wisdom can come. Even without experience, somebody can still be wise. But like maybe most of the time we kind of think of wisdom, we kind of attach wisdom to experience. But wisdom is very different from knowledge. Wisdom is like hikmah, right? And I can remember this particular verse in the Quran. I was listening to the tafsir of that verse from someone from, an Ustad. I can't remember the name of the Ustad. Maybe, let me just mention the verse. The verse is in Surah to Jum'ah. So the verse that talks about when Allah sent the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like we have sent you, like وَالَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. And then, that verse actually mentions knowledge and then mentions wisdom. So the Ustaz was kind of emphasizing the impact of having wisdom. And if you read if you read the seerah of the prophet, saying if you read the seerah of the prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will see that wisdom. Yeah, just like something you mentioned earlier. If multiple people, like there were instances where multiple people came to ask the same question from the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he gave them different answers. You know those hadiths, right? Like, maybe what can I do to end Jannah? What can I do to do this? And then he gave like different people different answers because the answer for each person, like each person's situation was different from the other person. So that required some level of wisdom, to be able to do that. And that's like divine wisdom in his own case. So when one is actually correcting someone, sometimes it takes wisdom to be able to correct some people. I'm really serious. I've listened to some of the issues that we have, like talk about how maybe they corrected some people, like the likes of Professor Alaro and maybe yes, Ustad earlier as well. I think I've like heard some few instances where they talk about, maybe it's not like they were showing off or something. They were just like talking about how it is important, like the manner which you correct someone, and then we need to correct some people, definitely. But the manner also matters, right? The manner which you correct someone matters. It's not like you want to correct someone, then somebody makes a mistake in public and then you start shouting at him in public. Bro, take things easy. I mean, there are some corrections that you don't do in public, especially if the person is in a position of power. Imagine somebody is the imam, is doing khutbah on Juma, and then the person makes one douche mistake, and then you just stand up there. I mean, you just spoiled everything, right? You just spoiled everything. So let me just share another experience. So there was this thing that happened in, I think it's OAU Central Mosque one time. So one of those elderly people, like after the Juma, he was trying to, I think he wanted to perform Nawafil, right? So there was like one of the brothers was sitting maybe behind him. So he was trying to tell the brother that the brother to shift to the position. He was trying to switch position to perform Nawafil. So I think the brother was maybe hesitant or like, there's no need to shift position, right? You understand? Or something like that. The brother was hesitant on that, but the way he reacted that day made the elderly person fly up. You understand? Really, maybe I think all he needed to do was allow him to pray. And afterwards, maybe you can discuss with him. Let's just assume, I'm not saying that thing is wrong or it is correct, right? I don't know. I really don't know. I've not really done any research on that area. But let's assume it was wrong. All you needed to do was allow the person to pray. I mean, this person is one of the lecturers, one of the professors. Is even a professor or maybe assistant professor in one of the faculties. Just allow him to pray. I mean, he's also a learned person. Allow him to pray. Then after we can say, somebody comes out, this. Have a discussion with him. You don't just, it's not every time that you want to do. Like,
two things from there. You would even appreciate your correction.
Exactly.
You get like, oh, this guy is so good that he's not even, he didn't even disgrace me, like right there in the mosque.
Exactly.
You can even show him the delay for it.
Exactly.
Because you said he's a learned person, but if you do it the wrong way, right there, problems. Not just that you will not listen. Like you, like how my budget.
Exactly. You get it. You get
it. Stubborn, this and that.
So it just makes it very difficult to come another day and see something. Like it will make it difficult for that person to listen to another person another day, right? Because already that thing, that stereotype is already there, that all these people that their trousers does not touch, that their trousers is not touching guy, they're extreme, they are this, they are that. And but part of the way we can correct that is to use adab, right? You use adab. Now, you use the manner which you deal with these people is very, very important. It's very, very important. And this is, I also want to mention something along this line. This is where the problem with experience comes, right? So, for example, you see somebody, the person is doing something, maybe an elderly person, the person is maybe 50, 60, doing something. And then you tell the person that this thing is wrong, and then you give them their lead. You give them that lead, right? Sometimes what I've seen is these people, they've built this, we're talking about machine learning the last time, they've built this model that once this kind of thing is happening, and we read this particular thing, and we do this particular thing, that some people taught us, some Agbalagba taught us. May Allah forgive the Agbalagbas and have mercy upon them. Some of the Agbalagbas, they didn't have that intention, and they didn't have access to the kind of knowledge that these people have today. So I think it's very important to pray for them. May Allah forgive them and forgive their shortcomings. So they mentioned that this thing happened one time, we did it, it worked. This thing happened another time, we did it, it worked. This thing, we do it. So you understand, right? So they've kind of built, based on their experience, they've attached the success or the solution to a problem with a particular thing.
The problem is if you tell them that this is the right thing and that one was not right, even though they didn't know. So Allah will not ask them of what they didn't know, like the information they have access to. They will feel like, okay, so if you are telling us that if we drop this now, we are doing this. My forefather, what he did for 70-something years is waste and is going to go into hellfire.
Yeah, and I feel like you can just advise the person to start doing what you are doing, like what you want them to do together with what they are doing, right?
I think you don't get the point I'm trying to make. I get where Rukoya is going, right? The point I'm trying to make is these people, there were times that they had problems, and then they did one particular thing, and it seemed like it was that particular thing that fixed it. it seemed, I think you should, I need to quote that statement.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it
guess maybe like
seemed
a something, maybe like a prayer or something that has
exactly,
God standing in the
exactly, of which, I mean, something solution coming is not by the amount of prayer that you did, right? So it's a little bit, it's much more difficult. Just like you said, require. Some people accept when you tell them that add this to it. I know some people, yeah, I've heard of someone that actually adds to it. Yeah. So somebody was sharing the experience of his own dad, and maybe the dad, anytime he brings up new stuff like that, or tries to correct his dad, the dad adds those things to the things he's already doing, right? But there are some people, they will never
With time,
listen
you
to
can
you.
actually advise them with time that okay, they should start dropping those ones little by little. I don't know if that would work, but I feel like it's a I don't know. Maybe
Are you close to elderly people? Like, do you interact with elderly people?
what
People from
you said?
do you interact with elderly
You said
people?
yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
How
I have grandmothers. I have
So
grandmothers. Yes.
I think at
But
the end of
yeah,
the
in that
day,
okay, though, okay, I even remember this scenario. Like this one actually, let me say it worked because my grandmother grew up in a place where what they worship is this Imale of a thing. Like
okay?
those are close to water now, sure you get. So I think normally when anybody offends her like that, the next thing is can you come you get. So,
Okay.
so I think it got to a point that I was like, what this man is trick you are doing now. Like, so I just started okay, like instead of her to say something like that, maybe she should just say that alone like that. I'll just tell her. So at first she would do that. After I just said, okay, just do this one this time around. But I understand the fact that probably she's a little bit more accepting than some other people would have. But right now, I can say that she has actually stopped it. Like she doesn't
Yeah.
even remember to say something like that again. So I feel like sometimes probably a little, just like someone that is addicted to something, right? You
Yeah.
just don't collect it from them. There's this rehabilitation and there's a process
No.
for rehabilitation that you have to go through. So you don't just cut it off from them. But I feel like a little withdrawal, a little addition, a little removal, and with time it gets better. But I don't know if it can work for all situations.
Yeah.
I think now that
No.
Allah Mustaan.
I think some situations is only dua you can make, right? It's only dua you
Exactly.
can make.
So
You
situations it's
just,
only
some
dua.
people have just zeroed their mind, and there's nothing you can say. They will give you an example of something that happened in the past. They will give you an example of one Baba that is known to, one sheikh that was known to be, this, that, and
Very,
then
very good.
yeah, so you always come back to to that same
Let me
point.
move and shock you again. Do you know some of them they actually feel like you coming to give them something new is like a challenge to
Yeah.
their own faith or what they believe in already. So they now see it as even more reason to be more steadfast in that one so that they don't like lose the path.
No. And I think another some people also take it as a negative challenge. Like, sure, okay,
Exactly.
do
Yes.
you think you know more than us? Which day did we give back to you, right? We gave back to you how many days ago? And you're coming to come
So
and
honestly,
say,
sometimes it's just to make you let things be sometimes and just do your own. Sometimes when what you say cannot work, just keep on doing what you can do. And hopefully
no.
when they see the impact of what you do, then it should be easy for them to adopt these things. So that was what I was saying the other time. It's not as if you don't interfere in some things, but there are some things that honestly they're just moot causes. Like it's better if you just keep mute and don't say. Sometimes I've seen a lot of controversial scenarios that I know that it's just like getting involved in an argument about religion. Of course, you might want to go into with the intention of okay, I want these people to know about Islam and stuff like that. But at the end of the 9 times out of 10, those discussions are always waste of time because these people are set in their ways.
Exactly.
They are set in their ways, and they are not even ready to listen to anything you have to say, even if you bring Delhi.
And before you end, they will have by the time you start saying it, they will say, do you know kill more than this Alpha?
I think at the end of the day, right, the two things, right? Number one is at the end of the day, the whole point I want to achieve is to try and correct people. I mean, like not like we are perfect, but try and correct what is obvious to us that this is wrong. So if we have that at the back of our mind, I think it's the manner that really, really matters. The manner that we do it. So whether they will accept or they will not accept, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ, That's
No.
what Allah told me. You cannot guide whomever you want.
No.
Whether we do it the right way or we do it the wrong way, even if we give someone a large sum of money to come and to stop doing what he's doing, it doesn't mean he will stop if Allah doesn't, make it easy for him.
No.
So I think what matters is did we do our parts? That's what Allah will ask us.
No.
Like,
no.
And
did you do your
right?
part? Not like did they accept it or did you do it? How did you do it? So if he was going to accept, we did it and he accepted. Bonus mark for us. If he wasn't going to accept, and we did it the wrong way, negative bonus mark for us. Negative mark for us. Did you get the point? So I think at the end of the manner.
That's the point.
Look at what Allah says about the prophet. That's one of those things that he used to describe. Even the prophet says, I'm built to come and perfect the best of character. But one of the easiest way that people can accept what you're doing. At times you might not even need to tell someone what you're doing, or the rules or something like that. But just because they're observing you, are like, subhanallah, this brother is, or this sister is character, mashallah, his behavior, respect, and everything. Honestly, you just be surprised that they'll be interested in what you're doing. So they'll just be like, one day, why are you even getting all this? Oh, it's from Quran. Let me read that Quran.
Yes.
And somehow, they might even become, not just stop the bad they are doing, they might even become better than you at the end of the day. So yeah, I think one of the solutions.
Even always look more to our own selves, like trying to better your own self. Because sometimes before you even see anything, people have already looked at you and think of, okay, this person, can I even listen to what this person is saying? So may Allah help us, like maybe just be better than what people think of us.
I think I'll just add maybe one more thing. So there's this example that one of the elders from my community used to give. Like, he used to say that, although it's a very funny example, the person is a professor. He used to say, if someone comes to your house, back then, some few years back, like 10 years back, Omar Jeep was like, if you have an Omar Jeep, you are like a very rich person, right? You are seen to be a very rich person. So he used to say that if a person comes to you with Omar Jeep, he drives to your house with Omar Jeep, and he asks you that, please, I need like 1,000 naira. That you should not look at the Omar Jeep that he brought to. That you should just, I don't know, just give him. If you have the ability to give him, just give him. Don't judge him that he was to war, or you that he brought Omar Jeep to my house. Me, I'm even using Toyota push me, drive me. So it's not by a function of how somebody dresses or what somebody is using, or maybe how somebody is living. Sometimes we just need to think of possibilities and not judge someone, and just, if we are capable of showing the person mercy, show the person the mercy. And have a good intention.
If you have money, or maybe you see someone that has money, or you expect that this person is supposed to have money, and then you go to them for help, and then they give you just a small token, and you're like, with the way this person has money like this, look at the amount of person. That one is even very around.
And you don't know what he's facing too.
You don't even know what he's
facing. He has money, but he's there broke at that time.
No, maybe he has not even finished paying for the car he's even carrying himself.
Honestly.
No.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I heard that from like one of the shuyukhs. Like, yes, that was Professor Alaro. He mentioned it in one of his maybe footballers recently, or one of his lectures. He said that we should, like he was saying, that we should stop thinking that the rich people are just the way Lukoya mentioned it exactly, that they are rich, that they are always rich. That some of them say they're in debt, but it just looks like they are rich because the businesses they are doing, right? They borrow a lot of money to run those businesses, and sometimes they're actually in debt. It just looks as if they have a lot of money. And when you give you 5,000, with all the money Alaji has, it's 5,000 that you can give me. I just appreciate, right? Just appreciate. Yeah, it's very important, and we need to be very, very careful of that too. And I think that that is.
So I think like the point of that should be like having the best thoughts about situations, or even people.
Finding
like just have best
reasons
thoughts, find
people.
excuses as much as, even for your own peace of mind.
No.
Just find as much excuse as you can.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I like one of my very, very good friends, though she's not a Muslim, but I really love this person, because whenever anybody comes to her with something that is not, how would I say, pleasurable, she will just look for one thing to say, and you just feel like, why did I not even think of it this way? So like, yes, like, so it's, and she's not even a Muslim for that matter. And I also know a lot of Muslim sisters that were like they are mashallah, but I'm just more surprised of because I don't see it as so rampant like that. But our own is alhamdulillah. So just having thoughts about people, having best of thoughts about even Allah himself, even about situations, even if they are looking so negative. It's not that you don't accept the fact that they are negative, right? But just look for the best possible way to just think about the whole thing, that even your own mental health is stable and it's not affected by it.
I mean, that's like dislike the bad thing that the person is doing, but not the person himself or herself.
Exactly. Yes.
No.
So
I think we should just conclude here.
So by the mosquito here, so
okay. Okay, so I think we should conclude at this note, at this point. Do you want to give some concluding statements, or I should conclude from my side?
Conclusion. Well, I think on my own part, I would just like to end with a verse of Surah Tawbah, verse 1. وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. So like Muslims, both believers, like male and female, we are like helpers and friends and protectors of one another. And then should always try to inculcate or improve upon ourselves and even people around us on goodness. And then we should forbid evil. And reading the tafsir of that ayah, it's like forbidding evil is very, very broad. So I think, and also we should like make salah, wa yaqimuna salah, wa yutuna zakah, then wa yuti'una Allah wa rasulah. So you follow Allah. The Quran is actually very straightforward. Like, do this, do that, follow Allah, follow the messenger. Tell people upon good and remove what is bad or forbid evil. And then you would find Allah to be forgiving and have a lot of mercy on us. So I feel like on two notes, the first one is individually, we should always try to, as much as possible, to acquire a lot of knowledge. Like knowledge about a lot of things, about Islam, about the deen, about how to do things, and also about trying to like doing what is good anyways, generally. So may Allah just ease it for us. It's not always easy, but may Allah ease it.
Okay, Abdullah, do you have some concluding notes, or should we leave you?
I mean, actually just skip it because of the background and everything.
Okay.
I was going to say a couple of things, but it's my voice still. The background is.
Yeah, the background is it's quite noisy. I can hear noise from the background.
Okay, I guess we can leave it at that, inshallah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So we have come to the end of the episode. So I've just also had maybe one or two things for the conclusion. Just a reminder, like with everything we've said, it's not like we are perfect, right? We are also learning from each other. So no one is perfect. We all have flaws. And then, yeah, so we all have flaws we are living with. And the main thing is to keep on improving based on things we learn and the experiences we also gain. And based on the guidance of the Quran, and also based on the rahmah of Allah, may Allah continue to ease our affairs. And then we should also, like, as we are praying, maybe when we are making our dua, we should remember to be asking Allah for wisdom. As we are asking Allah for knowledge, we should also be asking Allah for wisdom to utilize the knowledge, the way the knowledge is to be utilized. And may Allah grant us wisdom as well and knowledge. So we can conclude on these notes. And thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
إسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء